to the Jubilee party politics as well. And of course, we had this particular pronouncement, or maybe some of the comments that were given during a church fundraising service by Murathe and also Kalonzo Musyoka. And we'll show you also what is on the front page of the Star as well. Just take a listen to this particular bite.
President Uhuru Kenyatta hata wachia hii nchi waizi.
Maybe to deal with corruption, we need a special commission of inquiry.
So do you think we need a special commission of an inquiry on this, all right, when it comes to fighting corruption? Also, if you take a look at what is on the front page of the People Daily today, hard queries on Kinoti, Haji Graft is what we do have there as the splash today. If you may just take a look at that. Hard queries on Kinoti, Haji Graft is what we have. Hard questions on Kinoti, Haji Graft war. They're saying this is a delivery gap. Though they have invested a lot of energy in arresting, hurling high-profile suspects to court, there are no tangible convictions so far. The story also continues on page 4 and 5 of the People Daily this morning. But let's just begin from there. And this is also the splash on the front page of the Star today. This is what Murathe was saying, that President Uhuru will not hand over power to a thief. I think he was misquoted there because he said
why is
by thieves, but now this is to a thief. Hamad Manyora.
You know, in reporting, you have to report something that catches the eye, something that then sells the paper. So if you say thieves, it's too generic, it's too general. So you focus on one. You try to say that Murathe was saying Uhuru will not hand power over to a thief, particularly because we know Murathe's background. He will not hand over to Ruto. You see that kind of stuff. I wouldn't support that kind of those kind of views from a leader of that caliber, especially if you are saying that you will not hand over power to somebody and specifically saying he's a thief. I think that's not the way to speak. There are better ways because as we stand today, as we are here in this studio, William Samoei Ruto is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. It has something to do with our image as people. He's part of the presidency. So such a references to him really wouldn't be coming from somebody like Murathe. It wouldn't be good. Because that's why this paper say to a thief. Because they know he meant so and so. Which is really wrong. But as a person, he has his right to talk about his preferences, to express his fears of what would happen if Ruto became president. That is perfectly in order. He has worked with them. He knows Ruto more than we do. Okay? He's been so close to power. He still is, I suspect. And therefore, it is good that he warns us that you people listen. I have worked with this guy, and I know he can't make a president. So it's good. It's good for the public. Let's hear different views. The only thing I'm flagging out is the kind of language you use in reference to somebody as high as the deputy president of a country. Yeah.
Or on what about the suggestion to have a judicial commission, to interrogate issues to do with corruption? Are we...
You see, the bar, countries that do not condone corruption, countries that do something about theft of public property or corruption, don't have as many laws as ours. They don't have institutions such as EACC. They don't have institutions like somebody suggesting we create a commission. That is evidence of a country that does not want to fight corruption. We have enough laws in this country. And in any case, I've said many times, including on this bench here,
yes,
what we have is not corruption. What we have is raw theft. So when you are dealing with thieves, let the police arrest the thieves. Let the prosecutor prosecute the thieves. Let the judiciary send these people to committee. Let them begin eating maharage. What we need is to flog the judiciary. The missing link is the judiciary. Let's flog the judiciary. Because an active bench, I don't believe the fact that if somebody doesn't investigate a case well,
yes,
I'm not a lawyer, Morgan is here, then the bench has nothing to do. No. The court can push the prosecution to come up with sensible things in court through interrogating prosecutors, and lawyers. If you listen at, for example, if you are following the ICC case,
yes,
you are able to see an active bench, the judges interrogating what a lawyer is saying. So that at the end of the day, or a witness, at the end of the day, we cannot say that because the prosecution is compromised, they come with very weak cases. Of course, we need to push the prosecution, Haji's office. We need to put DCI so that they don't do public relations, PR, by pushing staff to media to publish instead of coming up with credible evidence against.
So you don't think that the DCI and the DPP so far, this is all about style and no substance?
They have not shown style and no substance. They are trying to make a lot of noise, but there's no action.
Conviction yet.
And we want the president to step in. Honestly, only the president can step in by ensuring that there is tangible action.
So for 2 years, they've been giving us high drama, but we've not seen anyone convicted so far. Okongo Mogini, do we need a judicial commission so far, as suggestion is coming? We have so many legislations so far as fighting corruption is concerned in this country, but will that be the prime solution?
Yeah, I think, Dibal, I want to agree fully with Manyora that other than the enabling pieces of legislation that are in place, our bodies that are tasked with fighting corruption are highly funded. In fact, if you go to countries like South Africa, Botswana, the bodies that fight corruption is a department within the police, the larger police. But in this country, you have DCI, which is anchored in the Constitution, tasked with fighting corruption. Then you have EACC. And I think what you don't know is that officers working in EACC are paid much higher salaries than other public servants as an incentive so that they can fight corruption ably. But I think we have gotten it wrong, that we have not done what other jurisdictions do. You know, if you look at the IBC chicken scandal, the serious fraud office in the UK was tracing money and seeing the people who are bribed, the beneficiaries. And the major crime in corruption is bribery. But when you come back to this country of ours, the bodies fighting corruption play to the gallery. They want to pick any high-profile person, then you are told, this is the biggest corruption case we have ever seen in this country. Take the case of the DCJ. I mean, was Mwilu involved in any corruption case? You are being told this lady went to a bank, she borrowed money, we think she used the office to get money at low interest. I don't think that is the right focus for those offices. Dibal, what's written in the People, if you can read it, is that the collapse of several cases involving high-profile suspects has brought the credibility of investigative agencies into sharp focus. And I think unless the DCI, EACC, stop playing to the gallery and start focusing on that offense called bribery, where somebody is given a tender to construct maybe, let me give an example, a road. That money is paid to that contractor. Then the money is taken out and taken back to some guys in government, maybe the CS or the principal secretary. You will never crack the corruption chain. If you start looking at, you are like having a marking scheme. You tell us there's a scandal, then you start asking for papers. Oh, did these people follow procurement laws? That's a big joke. I think the guys who benefit from this corruption laugh to the bank, all the way to the bank. And then this idea of, you arrest people even when you don't have evidence to take them to court. And you cause a lot of drama. I think about, I don't know, it's 3 years ago, we woke up on a morning and there was a lot of drama. A house of a high cabinet secretary, Waiguru, had been raided, documents taken. 4 years down the line, all that we read was that EACC wrote a letter to Waiguru, clearing her. How do you fight corruption in such a manner? You're making it look like it's just a joke. So I think these bodies really need to focus. In the UK, in a year you will find that they will deal with maybe 5 cases of corruption. But the moment they take you to court, the moment you are taken to court and you take plea, I assure you there will be a conviction. But in this country, you'll be told in a year we have 180 cases. The success rate for these corruption cases is about 38%.
Which 38?
Conviction.
Forget about it.
62 are acquitted.
It's less.
62 are acquitted. I think we are very, very unserious in this country. And this idea of just allowing the war against corruption to be press conferences where you tell us we have now gone for this big fish should come to an end. Let's focus on few cases involving bribery. That is the most serious crime in corruption. You go after people, do your investigation, take even 2 years. But when you go to court, you should have a watertight case with high probability of attaining a corruption in court. I think for now we are doing dismally.
Okay, so and what about the Jubilee, of course, party politics that I wanted you to also to comment on, Murathe, and that particular comment that is on the front page of the Star? Will not hand over power to a thief.
I think for me,
that's an onslaught on corruption, and he wanted to go and answer. These guys
No,
are contributing to the
let him
people
finish his comment, because Haman did as
don't
well.
want
He
us to
commented
fight
on both.
corruption.
You
can't use prime time to just discourage the people who are doing a good job.
If you know Kioni, anytime you mention Jubilee in a manner that brings the party on the spot, you're always trying to interject some of us.
Okay.
But I think I will not blame Murathe. I think the statement Murathe is making is that as a country, let's choose somebody who can take forward this agenda of fighting corruption. And you know, when we enacted the new constitution 2010 and put in chapter 6, I think the intention, the dream of Kenyan people was that we will vet our leaders and entrust leadership to people who are untainted. And if this can be an agenda for 2022, where we are saying we want to examine your track record and have a scorecard. Are you clean? The way you say, like cotton. Mimi ni mweupe kama pamba. I mean, if that can be agenda, when Obama was vying for presidency in the US, the American people were looking for somebody who will spur economic growth in America. When the Australians went to an election a few months ago, they were looking at somebody who will protect their environment. And that was that was the policy that was being debated on the table. If 2022, we can put corruption as the first, I think if you have a marking scheme, you say this is really the first test you need to pass, that will be a transformative election in this country. It will change things. We forget about bringing together ethnic groups, and you say we have the numbers.
Right. Thank you. Let's hear from Jeremiah Kioni.
Well, one is that I don't agree entirely with what Professor and his colleague has said that about corruption. They are just exuding negative energy this morning. I think, and it's not good to wake up with such amount of negative energy.
Why is it a negative energy? But for the last 2 years, have we seen any tangible results?
For
your own assessment?
We are not where we were. I mean, even if you have not had convictions in a manner that the two colleagues would want, certainly this country and the world knows that we are not condoning corruption like it used to be before. And it is good to commend the people who have given it some energy. And the fact that there are no convictions does not mean that they are not doing what they should do. I think what lawyers are doing is also to fight those who are trying to fight corruption, myself included maybe. But it's not good to just discourage our officers in that manner. I wanted to say that we as a nation agreed to even have the words corruption. I remember when you were doing this constitution in Naivasha, that occupied almost a whole day or 2 days. That the question was, do we really want to include the word corruption in our constitution? Do we want to include the agency that fights corruption and provide for it in our constitution? And some people are saying, no, that is not right. We will be projecting ourselves in poor right. But the argument that it is true, Kenya has suffered heavily under corruption, and we need to face it head on and own to it that we need to do something on corruption, won the day. And that is how EACC found itself provided for in the constitution, and its mandate spelled out in the constitution. Because there before, we would do it in an act of parliament and we would amend it on the floor of the house. Any other time we would want to the institution to become weaker so that those of us who are in power at a given time are not fought in a given manner. But look at it the other way, before we even come to the Jubilee. We at times scream loudest when we think that the people fighting corruption are on their way to our houses or to our offices or to our doors. When I see Murathe saying that we don't want a thief or we don't want to give this country to thieves after Uhuru, the question that you ask is that how would it be, you can almost guess the answer. If we have another set of persons in leadership, and he finds himself caught by the radar, the corruption radar, like Manyora is saying, there is no pamba. If he'll say it's because I was saying these things in the yesteryear. So you never know whether he is offering a defense in advance or what he is trying to do. But I want to continue encourage the DCI and the DPP to continue fighting corruption. I want to mention to say this to the president that what links him directly with the ordinary Mwananchi today is his resolve and his fight against corruption. Nobody should tell him that he's not achieving anything and he should not be discouraged.
Right, thank you.
This is a rocky meeting that you are referring us to. The one I'm seeing at Gewa. Is it Gewa? Where I see Murathe and...
Yeah, in Githunguri.
Yes, it's raw energy. You know, you had Trump saying raw energy. You can not see any energy in the kind of things that we are being told. When you come and tell us to set up a commission to fight corruption, really? This time and age, you are taking us back to the 80s. We've moved, and I think we need to wake up and smell the coffee. We've moved. This country has moved.
Right.
As to what, let me, Dibal, you know, let me just say this. One of the things that is scaring many people, and I'm sure this will get a heavy response here, is people from Mount Kenya seems to have decided that they will give the presidency to non-Kikuyu. Now, the problem with the non-Kikuyus is that they want to tell us who to give it to. They don't want to leave us with that mandate to decide who it is that we want to give it to. And they seem to get uncomfortable every time we engage we want to think about it and engage ourselves in that debate. But I want to encourage them that, you see, when I learned after Musalia and we voted and I voted for him, one of the reasons why people said I never voted for Musalia is because they never wanted to credit a Kikuyu with a mind that he can also identify another leader elsewhere outside the Kikuyu tribe. And now, this is where I find it very funny that you don't even want to be happy with us, that we have decided, that may come out later, that we will vote somewhere else. But where we vote, stop quarreling us. Stop getting worried. We will decide, and where we decide, this is again a democratic position. So don't tell us that the only time we can make correct decision is by voting this particular person. And again, we are also not a monolithic bloc.
Thank you.
You are likely to see people voting for different persons come 2022. And it should not worry you, should make you happy. In any case, if what you've been saying is true,
thank you.
If you are not being hypocritical.
We'll circle back with Popogisio on the other side of the break. We need to take a short break. When we come back with you and Ali, so also to react to that particular comment. Collectively, is it speaking for the entire region? As you say this, are you speaking for the entire region? That's also another question that we need to also to probe on the other side of the break as we look at Jubilee Party politics. And of course, we shall be probing as well the SGR compensation much later in the course of the program as well. Don't go away.
Of course, speaking about a political party that is in the ruling, is in the ruling party today, we should speak to the people who manage that party to tell us what's happening in the party. I can see beyond that. I can see people even asking the Secretary General to resign. This weekend has been very busy with, it's a divided party. It's a party that requires to deal with their own issues.
Yes.
We are, as KANU, we are part of that coalition, whatever the formation that is in government. And, but we are a different entity ourselves. I think that the calling there has been by Murathe, for example, that is correct. If Uhuru knew, very correct. If Uhuru knew that he's handing over to thieves, I mean, what would he do? Because the handing over in this country is a democratic process, where if the thief has been elected, you just have to hand over. There's no way you can refuse to hand over. It has not happened in this country that you can refuse to hand over. You can only speak to correct the issues of theft in this country. And the only way to correct the issues of theft and corruption in this country is if we focus on these people, these lawyers and the judges, the DCI, the prosecutors, and also ESCC. If they can all come to the realization that this country is meant to go this direction. Because who compromises whom? It's within this ecosystem here. The people who make our laws, our lawyers, also then go and they're the ones who make sure that the laws are not strong enough so that they can go on to defend. And you find that we have relied on our lawyers to make our laws, and at the same time to be our judges, at the same time to be our prosecutors, everything. And so these people have to decide. I think this consortium within the judges and the magistrate, the judges, magistrates, and our lawyers who represent all these crimes. Because, you know, Morgan here will speak about corruption, but if you arrest a corrupt man right now, he will take instructions to go and say so. So this is our system. It's a very good system, a legal system. But I'm just saying that unless we have really committed among those people, because what happens when people have gone through prosecution and then all of a sudden there is no conviction? Why? Why? I mean, is it because money has changed hands? Is it because of this? We worry a lot. Every time you see a case where even just common sense, you will see that this one has definitely got something to do, and then all of a sudden it dissipates. It dissipates completely. So what is it that happens in our system? This ecosystem needs to be looked at very carefully. Are there people who are clean that we may appoint to be our judges? Are there people who are not corrupt? Is it that we are all corrupt from the time we appoint them as magistrates and promote them all the way? Or is from the time we make them a DCI or whatever it is? So where are we going to find people in this country then who can do this? So a commission of inquiry, who are the people who are going to do it? If the legal system allows these things to go through, what's a commission? What's a commission compared to the constitutional bodies? The commission can be played. I mean, commission can also be defeated. The justice can be defeated. How many commissions have we done in this country? Let's look at the results of the commissions from the past. How many commissions have been done? In fact, the land commissions. I mean, the Ndongu about land. Where is it? All these commissions that we set up, where are they? The commission of inquiry would only tell you what you look like. Look yourself in the mirror and tell us. We know what we look like. Why don't we deal with who we are, and what we look like? Which is that we are susceptible to corruption. But how do we deal with all these matters instead of just creating more and more paying positions? Because commissions are just paying positions. We just pay more people to do the same work we could do. So we need to have a very good look at ourselves as a country and look at the future of this country together. I don't like the way that Kion is talking about his region and his people. Say we decide whom we want to elect. I mean, all those things is not democratic. It's not even supposed to be talk. That now Pokot are going to make a decision as Pokot. You know, that the Kisis are going to make the decision. There's nowhere like that in this country. People have gone past that. Have we? I mean, we've gone past that. We don't think. I don't think you can. One person can meet today as they used to meet in Lemuru and say we're going to vote this way. But
what is happening in Gusiland is the same mentality you're talking about. Look, you know, we as Gusi, we have our kingpin. So this is
look at what happens in Kisi. The same Kisi. They will tell you that people who say no, we can't follow that. So it's not possible now in this day and age. It's not possible. I'll tell you, and we'll see. I mean, there are people who now claim that they can make a king. Okay, you're kingmakers. But today's age, look at the people who are voting for us, the young people. They don't know what you're talking about.
He's the same guy who's saying that Kalonzo is taking us back to the 80s. So his mentality also about that is in the 80s as well?
Exactly. That kind of talk is
now what is exactly?
Let's say formalis. No. Let's say formalis before we come to your Congo Morgan.
That decision is from the 80s.
Thank you, Dibal. And I forgot my specs as I came in, so I hope I can see the screen very well, properly. Let me start by saying that Kenya is not a monarchy. Kenya is a democracy. So when I look at this statement, Murathe saying Uhuru will not hand over power to a thief, I think Murathe should not even be speaking to Kenyans. He has a lot of baggage himself. You know, he actually is a bankrupt. I don't know when he lifted the...
I don't think we should allow that.
He lifted the... No, this is factual.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, it's in the records. And because the way he's speaking, actually, he comes out as a person who has a personal vendetta, and therefore he will find that he will be addressed himself, you know, like almost personally. But what I'm saying is that when this kind of statements come, he wants Kenyans to believe. Having been the vice chair, former vice chair, and as a member of Jubilee, I have the right to actually respond and say he wants Kenyans to believe that he is speaking or working for the president or for the presidency. And I think that cannot be far from the truth. When he was sent home, I think it was by surprise, and he's hurting from that. I remember recently from another TV station where I was, he sent a text asking why the party has not held a meeting, you know, since he left. And I responded that he was actually asked to resign. He was purely sacked. And when we continue entertaining these kind of people, then we must be on the wrong footing. Kenya will not carry out elections on basis of somebody's, like Pogisio has said, one person cannot determine how the electorate will actually vote. You can try to campaign for a candidate, but I do not imagine a situation where all of us will agree that this is the candidate. Majority may agree on a specific candidate, but it is also true, and you know, when we were here last Monday, I think most of these panelists here said that you know, there will be a problem because a whip will be clacked on Mount Kenya region so that they can vote or toe the line, face Mount Kenya on a certain direction. Now I see Pogisio, actually, with due respect, has now moved from that direction because of the statements of Kioni. It is true, I don't think where we are headed now it's possible that we shall field a candidate from that region. And there is nothing wrong in saying that. But it's also true that we are speaking among ourselves and there is conversations all over, because I think it will be one of the biggest arena of political discourse in the next elections. And therefore, it is possible that, and we will agree on what way forward, majority of the people in that region. Right now, you know, you heard what happened over the weekend in Ruiru, you know, and the question on handshake was actually rejected by a very big crowd in Ruiru, meaning that they don't want greetings from the handshake. What is that telling you in that backyard? So, you know, I just think that there are signs, people like Murathe and the people he works for, who have hired him. And maybe this picture could be having some of those people. I don't know, or this was just a coincidence. It's not the first time that he's teaming up with some people who want us to think that he's speaking for the powers that be. You know, that statement is loaded. But he cannot be speaking for them. Going forward, we must allow Kenyans to discuss, to have conversations, deep conversations, to question, and also actually be encouraged to grow democracy, even freedom of speaking, and saying yes or no. And you know, therefore, I am very clear in my mind that people like Murathe will be very shocked. You know, they're even talking about commission of inquiry. It's obvious that he has somebody in mind, and he has clearly said before he will not stop at nothing to stop DP. You know, he has stopped DP from going to State House movement. This is part of it. I can bet he will fail. Because, you know, even his own record, his own constituency, he lost elections badly. And the last time that he really was elected, he also is said to have sold the seat of Gatanga. But the commission of inquiry he's talking about, he has forgotten that the presidency.
Actually, that was Kalonzo talking about the commission of inquiry, the judicial
You know,
commission.
they were there together, you know. Kalonzo is my learned friend, senior. And he knows a commission of inquiry cannot, the office of the deputy president is an office in the presidency. And the presidency cannot be subjected to civil or criminal proceedings while it is subsisting. And therefore, maybe in the future, we shall have a commission of inquiry regarding matters that may even touch to that office. And you know, you cannot separate the office of the deputy president and the office of the president. So what these kind of people are thinking is that they want to actually subject the presidency to commission of inquiry. Utterly nonsensical and unconstitutional proposals coming from a former vice president. Then the tirade of insults that have actually been directed to the office of the deputy president. for me, it's unfortunate point in our country. And you see that is likely to bring the office of the president under disrepute. Because how do you separate the two offices? Is there a strategy to force the deputy president to resign? I am not speaking for him. But when you look at what people are imagining, commission of inquiry, calling somebody a thief who is serving in the office of the president, eventually you are bringing the office of you are bringing the presidency to disrepute and being a symbol of unity in this country. We must stop that kind of agenda, because it serves nobody's interest in this country.
Thank you. Right.
On the criminal, there was a criminal issue in terms of this office of the DCI. I thought you wanted my comment also on that. Right. But quickly, I can say that I actually myself think the DCI and the DPP have done fairly in a very short time a good job. Dealing with corruption is both preventive and actual, in terms of stopping completely, preventive, but also punitive when you move forward to prosecution. So I don't think this is the time to discourage these two officers. I think it is time to encourage, probably take stock of what they have done, but also they must have learned, or they need to sit down, reflect on the achievements they have made, evaluate their errors or mistakes, and then work on that. And of course, and I think therefore, Kenyans should not expect, judicial processes is not an event of a day or 2-3 days. The way the law is, one must understand it takes time, and due diligence is important. And I think sometimes, and while I support them, they must be more cautious, avoid political misuse in whatever manner, so that they do their work without having to worry about who is seeing what they are doing or not. Because the law should guide them, purely the law. Because otherwise, they'll practice impunity and they won't last a day if they do that.
Right, Hamana, I think we need to wind up on that. We move on to other topic, unless you have anything to say as we're winding up here, the summing.
I would just have wanted to say one or two things quickly. One is that I didn't say the new offices, DPP and DCI, are not doing something. That's not what I meant.
Yes.
I said we want to move to the next level, the level of conviction. Of course, there's no way you can compare Kinoti with his predecessor, Muhoro, whatever was his name. Muhoro. There's no way you can compare this chap who was there before and Haji. What was his name? There is no comparison. They are two different people. One is in the skies, another one is on the ground here, under the ground. So these guys are doing good. I know Kamata Friday, which is has scared people, which is good. Not many people now can really put their signature on a document before thinking twice. So I know all that, and we appreciate that. Only we are saying, let's move to the next level, which is the level of conviction. That's what I said. And of course, Alice has spoken well, but again, if people want somebody, they will get him. And if people want to drag somebody to court, they can. I don't think the Constitution makes reference to the deputy president in terms of prosecution. They can be prosecuted. Only Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta now may not be prosecuted until he leaves office. Anybody else can face the dog. Am I right?
Yeah. Only the president has immunity right now.
That's right.
No, he doesn't have. Only Uhuru Muigai.
That's what I'm saying, the president. Yeah.
The Constitution stipulates the president. It doesn't say the presidency.
You remember, there was a clamor to get even the governors and the DP covered with that immunity.
Which is good to me.
It is only the president who has immunity.
Yeah.
Every other person can be taken to court.
Right. Okongo, briefly. Okongo, just a moment.
That's the constitutional position.
Because
let's Okongo.
No, they are challenging my point.
Yeah. You will get to your time.
It's my take now.
Let's hear from Okongo Mogeni.
It was just a by the way.
I just wanted to inform.
It's my take.
And it is important.
It was just a by the way.
The Constitution is very clear that if you are serving in an office where you can even act in the office of the president, you cannot be prosecuted.
Okay, Okongo Mogeni.
Maybe when they're active.
But we have not started the
record straight,
discussion.
the only office that enjoys immunity during his tenure in office is the president. If there is evidence that the DP has been involved in any corruption, I assure you can be arrested and charged in a court of law. That is the constitutional position prevailing today unless we change the constitution. And I'm sure even Honorable Kioni will agree with me that that is the constitutional position. Alice.
No,
Now,
I disagree.
there is a...
I disagree. We will look at the constitution later.
I think there is an issue. There is
Yes.
an issue that is putting us lawyers on the spot, which has been raised by my good friend, Senator Pogisho. And they're saying that this country is in problems because lawyers are the ones who make laws. I mean, look at the constitution. It is legislatures who make laws, the parliamentarians, not
Yet
lawyers.
another mistake in
I
the
mean, that's a big mistake, and it shouldn't go on record. If there is any mess in a law-making process, it should be to the doorsteps of the members of parliament,
Who wrote the
not
constitution?
lawyers. Two, you know,
This
the
constitution.
key positions
Politicians,
that
politicians,
are
not
You guys.
fighting corruption. The DCI, the person heading DCI, Kinoti is not a lawyer, to the best of my knowledge. Most of the investigators in that body are not lawyers. If you go to EACC, the chairman is called Webukala. He's not a lawyer. Out of 5 commissioners, 4 of them are non-lawyers at EACC. The person who was heading EACC before, Wako, and the current CEO are non-lawyers. The bulk of investigators at EACC are not lawyers. So I don't think we need to push blame to lawyers simply because they appear in court to test the evidence that is being presented by investigators. I think the call we need to make is that we need to have the DCI train his investigators properly. And Dibal, you have heard even the CJ say, unless you bring cases with watertight evidence, the courts cannot convict where there is no enough evidence to sustain a conviction. So the people who need to improve, let it be clear, is the investigators. Once we fix that, the court will not have any option other than to convict where the evidence is overwhelming.
Let me just say that I gave a consortium of people. I say lawyers, the lawyers who practice, judges, DCI, and also I said EACC. I just mean that even in Parliament, when we have anything to do with making laws, the first people we consult are the homogeneous in the Parliament. I mean, we like to use them, and then at the same time, then they're the same people representing us also, you know, on the other side, which is okay. I just say that for a country like ours, which has a rule of law, it's important. But we just need to look at that consortium together and say what has gone wrong with our systems. Why can we not get a watertight case, prosecute, and actually make a way a way out of this, the thing that doesn't look to be going anywhere. That was not the most. So he's just defensive of his profession so much. And of course the talk about, you know, who is immune to whatever. I agree. I mean, this one is the president. In any case, nobody has mentioned actually the DP in all these things. I don't even know how his name came up. Murathe even did not refer to the person. Neither did the Commission of Inquiry thing refer to any person. Commission of Inquiry is a tool that can be used, but nobody has mentioned anybody. Why do Kenyans conclude that it is the deputy president who was? I mean, I just think we should be able to say anyone can be the one who will not be handed over to. I mean, it's not. We are not saying that. But as I said, you know, our constitution is very clear. You will hand over to whoever has been elected. You have, as an outgoing president, you will not have a chance to debate that. So what do we do now with the issue of our prosecutions, which we are talking about, and our corruption index, which is getting worse? We have put in a lot of money, and the budget is very clear, a lot of money to fight corruption. If you look at this year's budget, there's an increase in terms of funding these organizations. So they just must act, you know, they must rise to the occasion. They must up their game. And I think that we should see a better result in the prosecuting cases of corruption. The biggest thing that I see as a hurdle for us as Kenyans is we know each other very well. We know each other very well. We know actually who is corrupt. We know who is a thief. We know all these things. And then we just hide our heads in the sand. We know each other very well. If somebody came and told me that Mr. Kioni was corrupt, I wouldn't believe it because I know Kioni, okay, or Omogeni. And I'm not just using people on this panel. I'm just saying that people, we know who it is, but we just hide our heads in the sand.
All right. Lastly, let's hear from Jeremiah Kioni before we move on.
Yes, and you know, they say that when you're in a grass house, you should not
Throw stones.
throw stones, because if they are thrown back, it becomes very, very difficult. You know, I'm just looking at a photo here. It's on the Standard, and I see my neighbor here, the senator. He is being out-jumped by Gideon Moi. I never thought somebody can jump higher than you. But
That is Sundays, yeah?
Gideon is jumping much higher.
Are you looking at the head or the feet?
That is Sundays, you may just speak a lot.
I was looking at the head, you are still above. But what is more interesting is that you see, this was readers from Pokot, that it was actually another group of Pokot, just like we had the Kisis endorsing Matiang'i. Now we have Pokot consulting Gideon here. So when I say Mount Kenya, I don't get too worked up, because we are just borrowing leaves from what has been done by others. And I can tell you again for the 10th time, there is that decision that, because we have been accused for many times that we just want to vote one from among ourselves. If we identify a leader from another area, I can tell you that Mount Kenya people are going to fight. What we are being told are going to vote for him. What we are being encouraged by the president is, stop it. Let's develop the country. Let us make sure that his agenda is achieved. And it is the best thing that he would have said. And this is not the first time, Diba. Even after 2013, you would say that this system which allows us to get into politics immediately after elections, we must really think about it. So he's really been consistent on the issue of finish elections, go do what you promise people, and then move on.
Thank you.
But Diba, let me just say this. You know, you see the meeting that Mr. Murathe and the DP were. Again, the vice VP, not DP. They were in a church, and I think in this panel and elsewhere, we have had a lot of quarrels with people going to church and making donations in church. Again, if you're in a grass house, don't throw stones, because that low energy meeting was happening in a church in Kiambu, and they were fundraising. So when you condemn, I think objectivity is what we need to pay attention to. When you're talking about corruption, Diba, there are very many people who have some dubious past, who seems to be running towards the DP. And it is not that, and every time corruption is mentioned, everybody will think that we are talking, people are talking about it, but the DP and politicians. This fight against corruption has hit businessmen more than the politicians. The convictions that are likely to come our way, you'll find them coming out from the business community more than the politicians. What I'm trying to say is that unlike in the past, where we were always seeing politicians as being the most corrupt, being the most, now it has changed. This net is cast far and wide, and everybody is on board, so that we stop focusing on just the politicians. Even the issue of changing the currency. It's like you expect the politicians to be caught by the web, but you'll be surprised to know that not many politicians will be caught by that web.
Thank you.
Activities are happening outside the political aspect. You said too many thank yous. Can I?
Yeah, because now you need to be winding up.
I just wanted to say, now prepare for the final thank you here. As in Jubilee, I think our minds are clear. We have a party. We will talk with inside the party. We will quarrel, but we have a party to protect, and you see for Jubilee 2022 being stronger. So don't wish us death. For those of Kanu, Baba, and Mama,
we'll still be here.
We are still going to be around for a little bit longer.
Thank you.
And perhaps you desire. And we will determine how things happen in this country for a while, not the 100 years of Kanu.
We wish them well. Kanu is almost done.
All right, thank you. Now, the construction of the standard gauge railway has been steeped in deep controversy